Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hot Toys 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review video. Now today we're going to be taking a look at an older release, but technically also a newer one, because of course it is being reissued thanks to the release of Zack Snyder's Justice League. We're going to be taking a look at none other than Knightmare Batman himself. This is actually the first figure that I ever picked up early from Hong Kong, but it turns out I hadn't started my YouTube channel yet, so I didn't do a review on it. People have been asking me, so I thought, to hell with it. Let's film this review as a retro review, and I will point out the things that are different between this version and the Justice League one that's coming out next year. Now, if you do want to order this version or pre-order the 2-pack with Black Suit Superman, they are up right now with toyswonderland.com. Link for that is, of course, down in the description below, and they do have 12-month installment plans if you're a fan of paying off your figures over time. Also, while you're down there, why not hit that subscribe and bell notification icon so you're notified as soon as brand new content goes live on the channel. What we are going to do now is get the box laying flat in the light box and do the unboxing. And here, of course, we have the box art for Knightmare Batman. It's been a while since I've seen a BVS style piece of box artwork, but I love it. It's kinda timeless. You do have this leather motif around the edges, meant to replicate the coat, although it's not quite this color. More on that when we get to the figure himself. You can see a bunch of images of Knightmare Batman, but that's actually the film rather than the figure. I really do love the Knightmare timeline. I wish we'd seen just a little bit more of it, but nevertheless, we'll see how things go. Maybe that Flash movie will incorporate some Nightmare stuff. Now, of course, when you do get the Justice League version, it'll come in a significantly larger box because it's a 2-pack with Black Suit Superman. Now, on the insert here, you do have an image of the figure itself, which looks absolutely outstanding. Now, I'm not usually a fan of putting a figure back in the box to redo an unboxing, but seeing as it's Knightmare Batman, I thought, let's make an exception, because this is a pretty special release. And here we have him in his desert trench coat. And I have to say, I liked it originally, and I still do like it now, save for this one annoying thing that seems to plague pretty much every Batman figure from BVS to even the older releases. We'll touch on that a little bit more later in the video. But yeah, here we have him. He's a big, beefy boy, and this is actually the first time we got a Batfleck figure. He came out in Hong Kong before the standard BVS version, and that means the body is actually slightly different. Now you can see he comes with a few bits and pieces, including an added tray of accessories. So what we are going to do now is get all of the accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. And here we have all of the bits and pieces that come with Knightmare Batman. Now let's start off by taking a look at the display base first. This is of course that classic BVS style display base with the pop-up symbol. I loved these back in the day, but now I think they may be a little bit too large. And also, when you have the symbol up, he has to kind of rest his feet behind it. It becomes a little bit challenging to get him standing with the symbol raised, but I still like it. I like the function. I also do like this sort of burnt effect around the Superman logo. That is a really nice touch. Now, of course, when we do get the Justice League version, Knightmare Batman will be coming with the ramp from the Flying Fox. That's the prototype troop carrier that Bruce Wayne was working on throughout the course of the film. Now, let's take a look at the cowl. Not because it's a separate accessory, but because you do have 3 interchangeable mouth plates. You can also remove the eyes. However, he doesn't actually come with any eyes. The instructions actually call out the swapping eye gimmick, but as you can see, eye plates are only available through MMS 342, aka the regular Batman. So in order to actually make use of the swappable eye gimmick, You had to buy the other Batman anyway. I don't know if that ruffled any feathers back in the day, but let's be honest, if you're buying this version, you probably were buying the standard as well. Now when you install the mouthplate, it has a surprisingly excellent likeness to Ben Affleck. Just this mouthplate alone, you can tell exactly who that's supposed to be. Now, they are held in with just a peg. There are no magnets here as far as I can tell, so they're not the strongest connection in the world, but they do look absolutely flawless. I can't wait to compare the paint applications on these mouthplates to the new version when we get the Justice League one. Now let's take a look at some of the weapons. This is of course his Scar-L rifle. It's accurate to BVS in the way that it's set up. This iron sight can actually be folded up and be able to be actually used in conjunction with the back one that can be folded up as well. However, in Justice League, he has a completely different sight, so I don't know if they're going to change that or simply give us this rifle, which is still technically canon to the Knightmare timeline. You can also see that Joker card on the back that we saw Jared Leto's Joker actually give to Batfleck at the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League. This part doesn't move, but you can actually remove the magazine. There's a little bit of painted detail on the inside. It's a pretty darn good rifle. You can see dirt and grime and dust and weathering throughout. It kind of looks like something you'd see in an apocalyptic timeline. He also comes with a handgun. This is of course a 1911. You can remove the magazine with a bullet painted up top and a working slide. As far as I can tell, mine is unfortunately stuck. Then again, it could maybe not have that gimmick at all. Nevertheless, if it's static, it's still nicely painted with a little bit of dirt and weathering over the top to match the Scar rifle. Next up we have the binoculars, and these are spectacular. They're really well painted, there's weathering over the top to give them a metallic look, and something that I didn't notice until now is that one of the lenses is actually cracked. That's a really nice attention to detail. Now the strap is made out of a pleathery style material, so please exercise a little bit of caution. Hopefully they don't degrade over time. He does come with a pair of goggles. These are also suitably weathered. There's sand and there's dirt. You can also see kind of a fingerprint on mine, which is a little bit funny, but you can also, of course, attach these to the top of the cowl, just like we saw in the film, and don't worry, you will, of course, see this on Batman in just a second. The only other accessory piece he comes with is this. This is an additional scarf that can be used to cover his mouth. There's a wire running up the top, but mine is starting to fray a lot. I've never actually used this on the figure, and I don't think I will, because this is an inaccurate color. It's supposed to be more of a deep chocolatey colored brown, just like we're seeing in the new version from Justice League. So at the very least, they corrected that. Now you do get, of course, a couple of hands with the green hand wraps included, accurate to the Knightmare suit. So they're not just a reuse of BVS Batman hands, they're actually newly sculpted. They are painted exceptionally well. I wouldn't be surprised, however, if these looked even better on the new version when he does come out. What we are going to do now, though, is get Batman himself out here and take a closer look. And here we have him standing straight up and down in the lightbox, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. And I can't honestly tell you why it's taken me this long to do a retro review on Knightmare Batman here. This dude is an absolute beast. Just take a look at that neck and shoulder area, and it should tell you everything you need to know. He means business. It's pretty much the best of both worlds between a BVS suit, which is already stunning, and an Elseworlds super unique apocalyptic design for Batman. They mashed them together and they gave us this work of art right here. Now I do have a story to tell you. When this figure initially came out, I didn't really care about the Knightmare version. I wanted the classic, just regular BVS suit. I was thinking, how on earth am I going to convert this to that suit? And then when I decided it wasn't possible, because, well, it isn't, I just popped him in the display, and that was that. Now fast forward to today, and we've seen Zack Snyder's Justice League spent a little bit more time in the Knightmare timeline, and hopefully we'll spend a bit more there in future films. I now love this Knightmare look, even more so than the regular suit. Yeah, I said it. That's how much of a turnaround Zack Snyder's Justice League really was. Nevertheless, enough rambling from me. What we are going to do now is take him off the rotating turntable, punch in, and take a closer look at the details. And here we have him up close and personal. And yeah, that's Knightmare Batman. They did a really good job translating the Nightmare sequence version of Batsy into figure format. They already nailed the regular suit version, and I know this one technically came first, but the prototype was of course already done for the regular version, so we knew that they'd be doing a really good job on this guy as well. Now let's get the elephant out of the room first. It's the coat. It's completely the wrong texture, the wrong finish, and the wrong color. Granted, it's so nicely, it hugs the body, there's wires throughout, which is a really nice touch, and I do like the weathering and dirt and grime that's collected in all of the seams. Then what's the problem, I hear you ask? Well, it's supposed to be a much darker brown, and not this shiny, fake leather sort of texture. It's supposed to be more rough and ready. He's been in the post-apocalyptic desert. The coat would not be able to withstand that kind of heat and sun and dirt and grime and dust storms and stuff like that. Therefore, it's just not accurate. There are a couple of third-party versions coming out though, one from 1/6 Kit, and one from Daft Toys. I will be reviewing and comparing both on the channel, so stay tuned. Now let's talk about the cowl. This is a work of art. I love the Dawn of Justice cowl. Granted, I am more partial to the Justice League one, I just much prefer the sleeker look. But this one is definitely stunning as well. You can tell just from that mouthplate alone that that's Ben Affleck. Now yes, you could technically move the goggles down, but I think he looks a little bit goofy like that, so I'm going to be keeping mine up top. Now this scarf also has a wire in it. This is actually a different scarf to the one that goes over the mouth. You can have him wearing one or the other or both. I personally just prefer to stick to this one. Now the bat suit is actually just a facade. The lower half of Batman isn't actually a bat suit, it's just the upper torso, and it cuts off about here. So that means you should get optimal articulation at the elbows without having to worry about damaging the suit. And when those third-party coats come in, because they're not made out of a pleather-style material, that means we shouldn't have an issue with cracking of the pleather either. Luckily, this is my original BVS Batman coat, and I don't have any cracking whatsoever, so I definitely count myself as one of the lucky ones, because I know some people have had that issue. Now, earlier on in the unboxing segment, you saw that this hand literally falls off with the slightest touch. That has been a huge issue with all of the BVS Batman figures, and also some of the older ones as well. I hope that connection is made a lot stronger when the Justice League version eventually gets released. Now moving down to the belt, it's literally just the BVS belt. It's painted, sculpted, and detailed marvelously. I love all the scratches and nicks and wear and tear, and I do like that there's an asymmetry to it. This little pouch here is a different color to this pouch. It's more of a gold look to it. Just shows that various panels would get more or less worn, depending on how they're exposed to the elements. Now coming down to this belt here, you can see there is a holster for his 1911. It slots in there fairly easily, and yes, as you can see, it is functional. I love the paint applications down here, but apparently the color is not accurate to the film, and apparently the shape is slightly off as well, so let's see if that's another thing they change for the final release. Now coming down to the pants, these are a really nice military style green. I like that they tuck into the top of the boots. On the half-scale Prime 1 statue, they actually don't, because of course it's a statue. They are just an overlay piece, and they are really poofy around the top, so I'm glad that the Hot Toys ones look far and away better. You can also see some dirt and grime and sand on the knee pads. Again, the wear patterns are asymmetrical, which I really do like. I wish there was a little bit more dirtying up going on the pants themselves, but nevertheless, they are dirty enough for me. Now coming down to the boots, speaking of dirty enough, these are absolutely filthy. They're covered in sand and dirt and grime, and on the underside you can see, stuck in the treads of the boots, are even more sand. It's a really nice, very simple thing that Hot Toys does that really sells the realism of their pieces. And trust me, if you pick up either the Justice League reissued version of this guy or in fact the original, I don't think you're going to be disappointed, because in hand, this guy is absolutely worth the money. Now, just quickly, I wanted to show you what the Knightmare Batman looks like wearing the Justice League Ben Affleck head sculpt on there. And I have to say, I love the way this looks. You will potentially need this neck collar piece because it completes the look quite nicely. However, because he does come with the interchangeable scarf options, you could just as easily tie one around the neck, which would hide the unsightly gap there. But I personally will be rocking him like this. Why would I do that, you may be asking yourself? Well, because I'm going to have two Knightmare Batman figures. I absolutely have to pick up that 2-pack to get Black Suit Superman, so I'm going to be having a completely different display option for my second Knightmare Batman here. As you can see, it does work, and it fits on there very, very nicely. I'm very tempted to keep him like this in the display right now, because I'm loving how this looks. Now for a quick side-by-side comparison, because of course these two will be coming in a 2-pack together, except we're getting Black Suit Superman, not the super punchy, vibrant Justice League version from the 2017 original. Still, this gives you a good idea of what the 2-pack is going to look like. You can see that BVS Batman is a big beefy boy, so there is a bit of an added height here over Supes. I really like that. Granted, some people would prefer Superman to be taller, but nevertheless, once you get to posing them up, you won't really notice that subtle difference anyway. They do look fantastic together though, and I personally couldn't have thought of a better 2-pack to release from Zack Snyder's Justice League than a black suit version of Supes and this guy. I know a lot of people have been wanting him, and hopefully this retro review has shown you how badass Knightmare Batman really is. And I just quickly wanted to show you him standing alongside my personal favorite version of Batfleck, and that's the tactical suit. I love it, it's full of detail, the armor is fantastic, and I love the goggles. I know, questionable, some people don't, but I really do. You can see that they are pretty much the exact same height. And for those of you out there who have this version of Batman, now at least this will give you an idea of what it's going to look like if you display them side by side. Because yes, now they're part of the same line, which I'm really happy with. I hope that eventually either Hot Toys or some third-party company gives us the rest of the Knightmare crew, but at the very least, we do need the Joker so we can recreate that scene of him handing off that Joker card to this version of Batman. Just going over articulation on Knightmare Batman. Now bear in mind, this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful. I'm sure when you get yours in hand, you can push the joints slightly further than I'm willing to go. Plus, he is wearing a relatively old pleather trench coat, so forgive me if I don't go crazy with the arms. Starting off with the cowl, you do get a fairly reasonable range of motion. It's on a ball joint at the base of the neck. The arms themselves go out to about there, and they'll go forward pretty much the full way, but you do have to contend with the pleather jacket. You do have a bend, I'm pretty sure that's a single at the elbow, which incorporates a swivel, and of course down at the wrist, a regular Hot Toy style wrist peg, which pretty much always wants to reveal itself and shoot off the hand. The torso does have a crunch forward and back, but because it's a different body to the BVS suit, it's not as ratchety on the inside. It does have a ratchet joint in there, but it's nowhere near as sturdy as the BVS Batman, the final version. The legs themselves on ratchets forward to about there, and of course you can get them going out, but they are incredibly stiff and they are on ratchet joints once again. Swivel at the upper thigh, double bend at the knee, and of course you do have a ball joint down at the foot itself. Just wrapping up on Knightmare Batman, specifically the BVS version. Now thank goodness Hot Toys decided in their infinite wisdom to do a reissue, because I'm pretty sure by the end of this video you can see why I love this figure. He's truly special. Not often do we get a super unique design for a character, especially Batman. Usually it's a cape, cowl, gauntlets, boots, but not this time. We got guns, we got trench coats, and we got binocs. It's very interesting, and I really like how it turned out in figure format. I just wish that, or hope that one day we do get to spend just a little bit more time in the Knightmare timeline and just wrap up that story, because I definitely do think it needs a little bit more attention, because it is totally awesome, and so is the figure. Granted, it's not perfect. It will need a custom coat to get it up to the movie-accurate standards that I know people want it to be at, but I personally still really like it. I will be reviewing those two coats very soon on the channel, and yeah, you do have to get a black suit Superman to get a Justice League version of this guy. Is that the worst thing in the world? I don't personally think so. If you already have Knightmare Batman, you'll now have a second one to potentially mess around with. Put the Bruce Wayne head sculpt on there, change the coat out, just have fun with it, and you will be getting a black suit Supes. If you don't have the Knightmare Batman, do yourself a favor, stop watching this video, head down to the description, go to Toys Wonderland, and pre-order that 2-pack. You need this guy in your life if you're a fan of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Yeah, he's that darn awesome. As I said, if you do want to pre-order the new 2-pack, it's available from Toys Wonderland, and if you do want to order the old original BVS version, which, why would you want to do that? Because he's incredibly expensive, but if you do, he's also available from Toys Wonderland. Link is down there below. Check out the link to 6 Scale Network, the awesome Facebook group. Come along, chat figures, share photos of your collection, and of course, see what's coming up next on the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.